Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Amma ba'd. Ahbabti fillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hayyakum Allah. A question that comes up often, or what should I say, maybe perhaps a general pre-question, if you will, that is very common, is it permissible? And I want to highlight something about this, especially when it comes to ibadah, that what I'm talking about here is that you'll find many people, they come up with strange statements, strange du'as, strange dhikrs, ways of remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ways that you've never heard of, something that you just came across, something that seems strange because it is strange, something that is ghareeb because it is ghareeb. And this is an indication right off the get-go that it's impermissible, because that which is permissible will be clear, and it will be made clear from the Quran and the Sunnah. Whenever you have to ask about something that you've never heard of yourself, that you may start to practice yourself, or may gain some strange understanding of, that this is usually due to the fact that it's something impermissible, or that it is something which you should avoid. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-halal bayin wal haram bayin. He said that the halal, the lawful, is clear, and the unlawful is clear. وَبَيْنَهُمَا أَمُورٌ مُشْتَبِهَةٌ. And between them are things which are unclear. لَا يَعْلَمُهُنَّ كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ. And many of the people don't know the answer about it. You know, they're really unclear. So, as a general principle, is that anything that you have not heard of from someone, something based on an authority in the deen, meaning someone from Ahl Sunnah, from Ahl al-Ilm, who mentions this practice, and that this practice has been substantiated by adillah min kitabillah or min sunnati rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that you should avoid it. You should avoid it. That you should not, if you have not heard of something based on the book and the sunnah, meaning based on some sort of true Islamic authority that is articulating that mas'ala, especially when it comes to worship, and it's not substantiated by the Quran and or the sunnah, then avoid it. And especially if it's something, a habit or a practice that you end up beginning to do on your own, and you have no precedence for it. So a lot of times people ask about strange ways of supplicating. You know, is it permissible to supplicate like this? Can I do it like this? Can I do this? Is this permissible? Most of the time they have no authority. They're asking because they themselves know already it's something of doubt, like something maybe it's unheard of. But it's only something that they put together in their own logic. So it's very important to try to suffice yourself to the best of your knowledge and ability with the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And so that brings up the last point I want to mention here, so that way we gain some fa'idah from this bi'idhnillah ta'ala. And that is, as the scholars mention as a qa'idah, a principle, is that al-asl fil ibadat is al-hadr, meaning the origin of worship is that it's it's impermissible to do. Illa, unless there is something that substantiates it from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Meaning you have to have dalil for the worship that you do. That is what distinguishes Ahlul Sunnah from Ahlul Bid'ah. The people of Bid'ah and desires, they do all kind of things that feels good to them, that sounds good to them, that they logically infer, but they may have no precedence from the Quran and or the Sunnah and from the madhab and the way of the Salaf. So then they just practice whatever they feel and whatever feels good and whatever they think is a legitimate worship or action. But that's the opposite of how we should practice our Islam. Rather, all worship is forbidden unless there is evidence to support doing that act of worship. And all things in this life, you know, your actions, your interactions and things like this are permissible unless there is evidence to show it is muharram. So for example, the clothing that you wear, it's all good unless there's evidence from the book in the Sunnah, and of course maybe the ijma of the ulama to show that it is muharram. So that lets you know that the asl of mu'amalat, the asl and the origin of your actions and your interactions with other people and the clothing you wear and the food that you eat and so forth, is that it's permissible. What a ni'mah. Unless there's something to show that it's impermissible. And the opposite is true of worship. The opposite, the asl or the origin of your worship is that it's impermissible to worship anything unless there is a dalil to show. And of course it's impermissible to worship anyone besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anyone or anything besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that even in your worship of Allah, there needs to be evidence to support that it is worship. That is the point of following the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is the point of knowing the text, the divine text of the book and the Sunnah. Okay? So that way you can adjudicate your actions. You can understand and place your actions in your and what you're doing on that scale. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the Almighty to accept our good and forgive our evil. Bless us with ikhlas, with thabat. Protect us from kulli su wa makruh. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.